Girls fans, welcome to the King of the Beta Invitational Semifinals matchup, Game 2 between Raytional and PewQ. In Game 1, we saw PewQ defeat Raytional's mono energy ranged build, more of a mid-range deck, and now Raytional has tried to pick a deck that can counter PewQ's build. Let's see if he can be successful. What he will be able to do is play a second energy build, actually, a second build. In this format, you have to play 3 different decks, judged by the creator of the tournament, and this deck has been judged to be different enough. It is actually a mono energy structures build that Raytional has thrown out here, things like Charge Coil, Power Trip, and it does also have an automaton theme. So we've got the cannon automatons, the full set of echomatons, the scout automatons. So this deck really is quite different from the one we just watched. PewQ will of course be playing the same deck that he played in the last game, featuring the Halls of Umlasa and the Watchers and the Necrogeddons and the Cursed shenanigans and all sorts of stuff like that. Let's see if the structure build can counter the decay build. That tends to be the thought in the community, is that structures beat decay. We'll see if it holds up for Raytional here. Raytional does not have a turn 1 play with his first turn honors. PewQ does not either. No turn 1 plays in his deck, or I think Raytional's deck actually. But he does have a turn 2 in Gun Automaton and a choice of turn 3 structures to play. PewQ has an Ilmire Tribesman. Last game sacrificed it on turn 2, and this game he does it as well. He seems to be okay with waiting to get those out till later in the game. Plays a Languid out on the Gun Automaton, rendering it all but useless. Raytional has a Charge Coil. Excellent scroll against Decay. Very, very strong. Decay just has a hard time dealing with those. PewQ has lots of poison in his deck, and poison is useless against structures, so much of his deck will not be effective against much of Raytional's. Ilmire Tribesman comes down at the top. It's going to get pecked by this Charge Coil. Raytional also gets out a Scout Automaton, so that will let his Gun Auto have at least 1 attack, so that'll be a start, and has a critical burn in hand for whatever PewQ is able to play out next. Raytional would love to see him play out a Rot Eater, but that's not going to happen. It's going to be the 4 health Cursemonger, played at the very bottom away from these threatening units. Tribesman moves down 1, and Raytional's go now has Echomaton and Burn, sacrifices the Echomaton, finds an Automaton Forge. We saw how powerful that was last game. Its power was not quite enough to win it for Raytional, but he did generate tremendous advantage off that Forge all game long. I bet we see it again. PewQ shooting straight up the resources, trying to get up to Halls of Umlasa, and rightly so. Super strong scroll as we saw last game. Brain Lice played out on Gun Auto. Burn played out on the Cursemonger. The Charge Coil is what allowed that to happen, because it randomly hit the Cursemonger last turn, and then the Automatons are able to finish off the Ilmire Tribesman, so Raytional has early board control. But PewQ is okay with that. His deck is built around Halls of Umlasa, and now his card advantage machine is up and running. Raytional needs to think about what he can do differently this game. A second Forge early is a great start. Great start. Hired Smuggler as well, able to generate some good card advantage. Charge Coil doesn't have anything to hit, so it shoots the turn over to PewQ, who's now drawing 2 cards per turn. Has a Rot Eater in hand, Oblivion Seeker, and an Infectious Blight from the graveyard. Another Infectious Blight in hand. We also see Languid coming down on the Hired Smuggler, making it all but useless, and then Infectious Blight coming down on, yes, the Scout Automaton. So that will slowly tick to death. Brain Lice finished off the Gun Auto. Another one will be spawning, though. Perhaps another 2 will be spawning. And yep, Raytional ticks down twice, so 2 guns will spawn to benefit from the, well, while the Scout Automaton is still alive, to benefit from that +1 attack. PewQ doesn't have anything on board still. Let's see if he can change that this turn. Still drawing an extra scroll off of the Halls of Umlasa. 2 Bloodline Tates in hand, super powerful combo, and really strong actually against the Automaton theme in Raytional's deck. Languids are just being played out constantly, and really with the Halls he can play a Languid every turn if he wants. Infectious Blight comes down, so that'll finish off the gun right away, or I'm sorry, the Scout right away, and then both Infectious jump to the same Gun Auto. Sudden Eruption for Raytional and an Ether Pump. Ether Pump is played out, another strong scroll against Decay. If once PewQ is able to get something on the board, it's going to take lots of passive damage from these 2 structures, so he's going to need to get a number of things out there at once in order to gain any sort of foothold on this map. 2 Curse Presence, 2 Bloodline Taints in hand, just a little too much curse, and he gets rid of some of them. Curse Presence comes down, and that will finish off the gun auto before it can deal any damage, and Oblivion Seeker comes down to man the fort. Nothing of Rationals can deal combat damage to idols right now, just damage to units off the Charge Coil and Ether Pump. A third Forge comes down. Wow. And with a Scout auto in hand, that's going to be a lot of powerful gun autos coming in. PewQ, though, may be able to deal with it if he's able to do a Bloodline Taint combo to finish off all of them at once. He does have 2 Bloodline Taints in hand. Raytional says he's got a whole factory going, and he is absolutely right. All these structures. There's the first Bloodline Taint. Looks like PewQ meant to curse the Forges and missed. That's unfortunate. That would have been nice to get those all cursed, but these poor gun autos were targeted instead. Blightbearer comes down in the middle. One unit pops. Iron Whip comes down, and lots of chatter here. Trying to figure out what damage is what. I guess Iron Whip doesn't trigger curse, which is really interesting. I'm still trying to wrap my head around all of the damage type changes, but anyway, the Oblivion Seeker bites the dust and pays for that. And yeah, Raytional says the devs really need to make that shit clear, and that is completely true. Needs to happen. Oblivion Seeker comes down, defending the Blightbearer, and another Blightbearer comes down as well. Note that PewQ is on 9 resources and still has good cards in hand. Raytional is up to 7 and has been able to preserve cards in hand by playing everything off of the Automaton Forges. Replicaton comes down, and here comes a Bombard. So that's actually going to clear PewQ's board as well as dealing some idle damage. A lot of Raytional stuff is going to get poisoned, but he deems it to be worth it to clear PewQ's board. I wouldn't have minded seeing him move the gun auto away and let that Blightbearer stay, but anyway, PewQ has another Halls in hand, plays out a Cursemonger to the top, and a Blightbearer as well. Both players are playing control builds, so they are both looking to the long game. Raytional has a little bit more of a mid-range plan with all of these automatons. PewQ is really just trying to stall until he can build up a tremendous card and resource advantage. Machine Chant is keeping Raytional up to par, though, only 1 resource behind his opponent, and has lots and lots on the board. At some point, PewQ is going to have to find a way to deal with these Forges, and I'm not sure quite what he can do. Not a lot in his deck can interact with them besides just combat damage, just getting in there with creatures and attacking. But these Forges are so well defended by Ether Pumps and by Scout Automatons, really going to be tough. But for now, all the Automatons are poisoned. A number of them are going to die this turn. 2 popped, only 2 guns left. Infectious Blight still traveling on the board, staying together. Violent Dispersal takes out the Witch Doctor, and I bet we see, yep, a gun automaton come down from the hand this time instead of the factory. And another one pops, and Charge Coil hits the Cursemonger for 1, takes it down to 2 health. Cursemonger ready to attack or curse. PewQ up to 10 resources, has Halls in hand, and now a Halls lingering in play. So back up to drawing an extra scroll every turn from the graveyard. Bloodline Taint does hit the Forges, so if they are ever actually able to be dealt damage, then they will be dealt significant damage. Ether Pump also takes 3 damage from the Cursemonger. Big hand for Raytional, lots of things to play around with. Chooses to burn his own unit. I think that took out one of the Infectious Blights, and second Ether Pump played out. I don't believe that Raytional runs Machine Divinator. I'm taking a quick look while the game is paused. No Machine Divinator in his deck. So he is counting on these Ether Pumps and Forges to count down on their own, rather than relying on Divinators to do it for him. PewQ finds another Bloodline Taint from the Halls, sacrifices for scrolls, finds Watcher, and that's going to come into play. He has Necrogeddon in hand, but with an empty board, Necrogeddon's not doing anything for him right now. Oblivion Seeker played in front of the Watcher, and an Ilmire Tribesman behind, so solidifying the middle row. Raytional now is going to get 2 more guns this turn. Lots of passive advantage from those Forges. Another Scout comes out, buffing them all up to 3 attack. Hired Smuggler comes down, could play another Charge Coil as well, but instead bombards. So here comes tons of damage. It's going to take out the Oblivion Seeker, going to take out the Watcher, and draw him a scroll off of the Hired Smuggler. And perhaps when I said tons, perhaps it's a little bit of an overstatement. It was a fair amount of damage. Took out a couple of units, a good play, but tons is probably a bit overstated. PewQ can draw whatever he wants from his graveyard here. Looks like he grabbed maybe the Oblivion Seeker or maybe the Watcher. Yep, grabbed that Oblivion Seeker. And Languid's going to come down on the Hired Smuggler. That's, I feel like, the 15th Languid that's been played this game. PewQ up to 11 resources now. Oblivion Seeker comes down, still has the resources for a Harvester, and we see that come down as well into the back row behind Oblivion Seeker and now a Tribesman. Raytional's board is almost completely filled at this point. He does have enough structures in play to immediately machine chant down the Harvester, whips his own unit to take out the Infectious Blight, and positions for next turn's big attack. Lots of damage coming in. Looks like he'll be able to maybe take out an Idol on the next round. That is, unless PewQ is able to find a way to mass remove everything. Curse no longer interacts with any of the Frost Gales and Growth, so that's why he's not splashing those into this deck, though that would be really nice in this situation. Does have 2 Baleful Witch, so if he could Bloodline Taint, Baleful, he could do a lot of damage, but looks like he's content just to do some Necrogedding, and gets a couple of Husks in place, so that'll deal some idle damage and take out 2 of the guns, or it could take out the Ether Pump. Looks like that's what he's going to do. So Ether Pump drops, the other Ether Pump is active. Burn comes down to take out one of the Husks. Gun Auto moves down to take out the other one. Machinated played up here, so that will clean up the second idle. The second row idle for PewQ, so only 2 more to go before Raytional is able to win. And the Watcher is taken down as well, thanks to a convenient charge coil shot, I believe is what did that end, in addition to the gun auto damage. Nope, actually it was the Ether Pump that did the first damage. Alright, PewQ, what are you going to do here? Need to figure this out. Harvester into Bloodline Taint, Baleful Witch. Baleful Witch would be a nice play. He doesn't have the Harvester, but he can certainly do the Taint Witch Witch. And there's the first Witch. That's going to deal 2 damage to everything. Not going to kill any of them. And then the second Witch comes down, and that's going to finish him off. Tons of damage done. Note that it does not hit the Automaton Forges, even though they are cursed, because the Baleful Witch just hits creatures. Another Ether Pump comes down. Raytional has gone through most of his deck, as has PewQ, both players on high resources, and a Cannon Automaton, one of my personal favorite scrolls, comes down. Big Daddy Automaton, going to be somewhat difficult for PewQ to kill, though nowhere near as difficult as these structures, because he can take it down with a Cursed Presence plus Brain Lice at his convenience. And there's the Cursed Presence, and then Necrogeddon is actually played out. So this is going to be a little bit of quick damage from PewQ. That'll take out at least 1 Ether Pump, and then it'll take out the Cannon Auto and one of the Forges. So well done by PewQ. Calculating his curse damage correctly, takes out 2 structures and a large scroll. Raytional's board all of a sudden looking a little less populated. Sudden Eruption, though, can make PewQ's board completely unpopulated if Raytional chooses, and that's what he decides to do. Storm Runner into Sudden Eruption, and suddenly PewQ is out of creatures on board. Only 3 scrolls in hand, now goes up to 4 on his card draw. Still trying to figure out what to do against these Forges. Halls is a start to try to counter that advantage. Oblivion Seeker just drawing more and more scrolls, doesn't have a card in his deck that can really deal damage to these structures. Raytional has lots in hand, could make a Bombard play here. Another Ether Pump comes down. It looks like it was destroyed and then got cycled back into the deck right to the top. Very convenient for Raytional. Cannon Auto comes down as well, and the Oblivion Seeker is killed, drawing PewQ from some scrolls, so he's going to go up to 7 before this turn has even begun. Or maybe, yeah, there's the 7th one, and still can sacrifice, goes up to 13 resources, spends 4 of them on a Brain Lice, so that'll slowly tick down the Cannon Automaton. Infectious Blight will accelerate the process, it'll be down in 2 turns, and Rot Eater and Tribesman as well. Holy cow. When you have 13 resources, you can make some big turns, and if you are drawing all these scrolls every turn off the halls, you can have lots of those big turns every turn. But Raytional just has a ton of stuff on the board, and he's able to power trip up to 13 resources. Machine Chant, Machinated. It's going to deal a ton of damage here. It's actually going to take out this bottom idol, and then I think he miscalculated that slightly, because the what I'm seeing here is the Cannon Automaton is going to kill that Rot Eater, but the Charge Coil would have gotten it anyway, I believe, unless I was counting that wrong. But either way, an idol goes down. PewQ only has 3 idols left. Raytional thinks that he screwed up lethal. He may have. I didn't do the math, but it seemed like he might have been able to pull it off that turn. PewQ's got to solidify on all 3 rows. Starts with the middle one with an Oblivion Seeker. Tribesman, another great defensive unit, played in the middle. Another Tribesman played in the middle as well, so he's leaving both of the top and bottom empty. So I guess his opponent can only put 1 creature there because of all the structure shenanigans. So Raytional's going to have a harder time dealing with the top or bottom idol. Third Forge comes down, you kill 1, another one spawned. Burn on the Oblivion Seeker, I suppose that's a fair trade with both players drawing scrolls. Another Charge Coil could come down, or maybe a Gun Auto, or, well, whatever Raytional wants to do. It looks like he's going to just pump out, or pump down one of the Forges, so it'll pump out a gun next turn. And PewQ has Oblivion Seeker, Brainlight's Damning Curse in his graveyard. Pulls the Damning Curse from it. Needs more mass removal here. Gotta find a way. And Hawes resets the count up to 5. Infectious Blight comes down. That'll finish off the Replicaton. Damning Curse takes out another unit. PewQ trying to stall as best he can. Ether Pumps are close to ticking down as well. Let's see. What do we have here? We have Burn. That's going to take out one of the units. Does he have any more removal? No more removal, but actually he's got it. Well, yep, with Scout Automaton maybe? Replicaton. I don't think this quite ends the game. I don't think so. Let's see, though. Stormrunner's not going to hit. Then the gun's going to kill it, and then 3 damage to the middle idol, dropping it just to 1. 1 health. So PewQ lives to see another turn. Raytional might have to find, I don't know if there's much piercing in his deck. Maybe a Oculus Cannon or something like that to get through if PewQ's able to stack up on that middle idol, and you know he's going to try. Watcher's going to be a good start there. Has Blightbearer and Tribesman in hand as well. Tribesman comes down in front. Blightbearer will come down behind, defending the 1 health idol. If Raytional can pull like double Machinated, he can win the game this turn. But if not, it looks like he's just going to have to wait patiently and whittle down this middle row again. Bombard is going to help. It's not going to be whittling down. It's going to be blowing down if that Bombard comes out. No attack buff in hand, but let's see what else he wants to do here. Could go, yep, Stormrunner, and then Machine Chant, Bombard, everything's attacking. Let's just watch the carnage here. Units falling all over the place. And yep, this will actually clear things out and win the game. Both Stormrunners hit, finishing off the Blightbearer, and the Hero Gun Automaton is going to get in and deal that final idle damage for Raytional. Well done. Good choice of deck, able to counter PewQ's Poison Curse Decay with the Structure Energy with an Automaton theme, and wins the match. So it is now 1-1 between Raytional and PewQ. The next video will showcase the 3rd and final game of this match, with the winner of that 1 game going to the finals of the King of the Beta tournament. This has been Smogan. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure to check out the next video.